good evening, and welcome to another episode of Ready, Set, Talk, where we talk about real issues affecting real people in real life. Tonight, our guest, we have Ms. Doris Williams, and we're going to ask her to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about where she comes from. Ms. Williams, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. My name is Doris L. Williams. I'm the executive director of Mary's Place, formerly Rape Crisis Center. I've been with the agency for 15 years, 4.5 years in my current role. I love what we do. The mission at Mary's Place is to provide resources and advocacy to survivors of sexual assault and prevention education to the community. We serve 7 counties. It's one of those things where I love my job. I hate that we're needed, but I love that I'm there to support any survivor of sexual violence and to provide that prevention education to our community.
Wonderful, wonderful. I like the fact that there's a resource that we are highlighting for those individuals who are directly or indirectly impacted by the horrific crime of sexual assault. I think it's a topic that we don't talk about a lot because it's so ugly and we tend to avoid things that don't make us feel good. But at the same time, I think it's a topic that we need to address. I think that victims need to know resources. I think that victims need to know that it's not their fault. And that they have a place where they won't be re-victimized. Sometimes people don't come forth because the fear of being re-victimized. Tell us a little bit about Mary's Place and what Mary Place provides for victims.
Mary's Place has been around 45 years. Last year, February 25th, we went through a rebranding where we actually named the agency in honor of our first executive director and one of the founding volunteers after Mary McAllister, who served the agency and community for 32 years. We are there in wherever we need to be. Well, as it relates, our survivors can report 3 different ways. Sometimes they call 911. Sometimes they show up at the hospital. Sometimes they call our crisis line. We have that 24-hour crisis line services, and it starts the ball rolling. We are a part of Savannah's sexual assault response team, which includes the DA office, all the law enforcement in Chatham County, Safe Shelter, Children Advocacy Center, and Mary's Place, the emergency rooms department. So it's a lot of us that make things happen to support survivors of sexual violence anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year, we're there. And once they make that connection, patrol usually connects with them first. A detective is appointed, then Mary's Place is called. And right now, because as a result of COVID, one of the positive outcomes was we used to have our SANE exam room located at Candler. And when COVID started just making havoc in our community, they needed our space. And for a part of the SART team had to approve office. And that was one of the great advantages of COVID. We have now made that a permanent location. We still have those partnerships with all of the emergency room departments. But if a person show up and they have extensive injuries, of course, we will do the exam at the hospital. If not, we can do it at our office in a more intimate setting. And we're there. Our advocates are there. We have a SANE program, our sexual assault nurse examiners. Those are registered nurses that are specially trained for SANE, as well as we have PED nurses because we take care of the children who are sexually violated. And then we pass them on to Coastal Children Advocacy Center. So once we go through that examination piece, where they're doing the interview, doing the exam, and depends on what their immediate needs is. And if funding is available, we assist them with that. We're there for second interviews. We're there for court accompaniment, as well as we offer counseling services as a resource. And we've extended our advocacy services to include Spanish-speaking advocates to support our underserved Hispanic population. And once we go through that process with them, that crisis line is available if they just need somebody to chat with, they can't go to sleep, or if they need additional support. Mary's Place was very fortunate to be a part of the pilot program for the sexual assault kit program, where we actually tracked the kit through the whole process. And we started doing that last year. It became law, but Mary's Place actually was part of the pilot program before that. So once the kit is passed on to law enforcement, And then we're there for that healing. However, that healing looks for that person, we're there to support them, whether it's the anniversary of the assault or whether they just had a bad day. We're there. We'll believe them. We'll support you. Whether it happened yesterday, 30 years ago, whether you choose to report and don't report, we're still there to provide all of our resources to you, as well as a secondary survivor.
So it sounds like there is no time limit that Mary's Place will walk you through a situation or help you or support you or provide services for you. So it's anytime you feel the need that you need these services, they can call you.
They can call the 24-hour crisis line, but the advocates only go out for emergency response for an examination at the hours. But they still can reach us 24/7, and all of our law enforcement partners can actually call us for those exams. We all have a crisis line phone call that is manned by a staff. We have 45 amazing volunteers throughout the community that allow us to provide this resource to 7 counties. We couldn't do it without them, and 13 staff members.
Oh, wow. What is that crisis number?
912-233-7273.
912-237.
No, 232-7372.
All right. We want to put that number, make sure we get that number put up so people can see it. So did we get it right? 912?
I'm trying to, you got me now because you said what you said. I'm double checking.
I know it was an on the spot question. I probably should have gotten it.
No, I said it wrong. I got it mixed up with my what do you call that? Fax machine. 912-233-7273. It's 233, not 232. That's the 24-hour crisis line. 233-7273.
Okay. We'll get that number put up for you guys so that you have that number so you can call.
One of the things I love to share with everyone is that there is an anonymous or unreporting option. So we have to have your legal ID for our side, but law enforcement is not involved in that process at all. So and it's 233-7273.
All right. I think we got the right one now. There we go.
Yes, that's it.
That's it. So, that is the crisis hotline that you can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and someone will get with you too.
They will. And one of the things that is amazing, all of the hotlines of the sexual assault centers is connected to RAINN. And that a lot of times they will actually connect people by the area code, but everybody do not live where their phone number is area code. So we get cases a lot from people calling all over the world that's no longer in Savannah, Georgia area.
Oh, wow.
So, but we support everyone. We're financially supported by the CJCC, which is the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, and all of the assaults that occur inside the state of Georgia. They're able to reimburse us with our SANE nurses and any of those expenses that's tied to that exam. But sometimes we get Florida cases. Sometimes we get South Carolina. We don't turn anyone away.
Okay.
Sometimes it might occur in there and they come home to mom and dad or to a friend that's in Savannah, and then they reach out to us. So we don't turn anyone away. There are sometimes we can't bill the state for it, but we usually get about 15 to maybe 20 cases, sometimes just that high, from other borderline states.
Is that a month or?
No, per year. Per year. Okay. If it was a month, it would. No, it's per year. We can average anywhere from 150 to 160 cases a year. Our numbers never line up with the city because a lot of our survivors choose not to report. And so we might have connected with someone and they choose not to report. And because they're able to do an anonymous reporting with the city, the law enforcement agency will collect the evidence, but they don't have any connection or information to the client. Unless the client chooses to, they have a year to change their mind. And if they choose to, then we give them all of their connection and information to proceed with a case, and they could do a delayed report. But they have the power to choose to report, still get the exam, still get all the resources, or not to choose to report.
So they're not forced to do any reporting.
It's all their choice, everything. And in some cases, our clients will remind them when their anniversary up. I don't know of any of the local law enforcement in our area ever destroying a kit for a person that hasn't reported, but legally they only have to maintain the kit for a year. But
Okay.
I'm not aware of anybody ever destroying a kit.
Okay. That's good because and you have changed my language without changing my language because when I came on, I was saying victims, but you call them survivors.
They're survivors.
Yes.
And I like to remind them that, everybody don't make it. And we've seen cases in the past. And I don't care what they did, whether they kept their mouth closed, whether they screamed, whether they fought, whether they froze, whatever, they
Mhm.
survived. And
Yeah.
that's what I want to remind them. And one of the things we want to do is help them on their healing journey, whatever that looks like for
Mhm.
them. It's
Mhm.
not our story to tell, it's not our path to make. We're just there to support them. I mean, I had a client that she was so excited because she went out after in the evening with her friends. And
Mhm.
it may not sound like nothing to somebody else, but
Mhm.
I was so excited for her when I saw a picture of her with her girlfriends, or
Mhm.
a client who never thought she would have an intimate partner again, got married and had a kid, and she brought her child over to see us and the husband. I
Uh-huh.
mean, those experiences is what it just excites me and fuel me because I've seen them at their darkest moment, and then to see them when they feel empowered again,
Yeah.
and they know their value, their worth, they know that they can make their own decisions, and just to see them go through that process and to be a part of it is just an honor.
Mhm. I like that because I believe words add value, whether that's good value or bad value. And so to say someone is a survivor, it automatically gives them a sense of power and
We
empower.
literally changed. We actually changed our name of our department from Victim Services to Survivor Support Services.
Okay, okay,
We
survivor
went through
support.
all of our marketing. We took out victim everywhere. I
Hmm.
mean, we went through all that was very important to me that we remind our staff, remind our partners, and remind our survivors who they are and how powerful they are.
Survivor support services. Wonderful, wonderful. So, do you have any statistics about sexual assault in our area? And I know you don't. The statistics are not solid because of non-reporting. Especially, I don't think people realize that men are sometimes also sexual assaulted.
Yes, and we also have a male advocate to support
Okay.
our male survivors. And a lot of sexual assault centers, I think they haven't headed in that direction yet. But
Mhm.
I realized that we were nurturing the males, I think just as women, we were being trained to deal with them differently from getting surveys by men and stuff. But it seemed like we were naturally doing that. So anybody who identify as a male or biological male, we offer that option. And most of them take the option of the male survivor. And when I listen to our advocate talk to him, they're almost like, hey, what up? It's just like the exchange is different.
Mhm.
And I'd be like, oh, he's too hard with him. He was
Uh-huh.
like, Miss Doris, I got this.
Uh-huh.
And it was just so different. And we have maintained having a male representation since I've been here over 15 years. We've always had a male, even though our numbers with our males are different. I would have to get you. I know some of the like every 68 seconds that someone
Mhm.
is sexually violated. I was thinking I probably should have bought that, but I
Mhm.
can get you our numbers to you so you can give them to you. I can get you year to date and last year numbers as well as year to date last year this time.
Yeah, that would be great, and we would
I
definitely
would get them for you, definitely.
definitely pass it on. So, what are some of? Are you able to expound on some of the symptoms of a survivor may experience in the process?
Well, I think you never know when you walk in the room what you're going to get.
Hmm.
And we're small and we're local. So I've walked in the room and seen people I've known, and always give them an option to excuse me if they need me to. I've seen chatty survivors. I've seen survivors that stared blank. We have to get consent even to do the exam.
Hmm.
And so I've seen people crying. I've seen people just, it's like they're there, they're in and out. I've seen people laughing. You
Hmm.
just don't know how people will respond to trauma.
Hmm.
And everybody responds differently. Everybody moves forward differently. We've had clients where I'm gonna call you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna connect with you guys. And they want to answer our calls. And we will try a few times, then we back up. And we've had survivors call and say, I don't want to deal with you guys anymore. I just don't want to deal with it. And it's just meet them wherever they are. And that's how we look at it. They guide us. We follow their lead. It's what they say they need. If they say pause, I can't deal with it right now, Doris, or whoever the advocate is, we follow their lead. We back up. It's all about their power, their choice, and making sure they do what's best for them. I mean, in this situation, 8 out of 10 cases is somebody they know. And so they have to make difficult decisions, whether it was an intimate partner, a family friend, your mom's boyfriend, or whether it was even when we have our males, we have a PREA agreements. We have a lot of MOUs with some of the prisons and transitional centers in the 7 counties that we serve. So we deal with the people that were violated in prisons. And so regardless of whatever it is, they even call us. They call us for advocacy service and talk to us on the crisis line. And we set up and make sure they have that support. It's meeting them where they are and making sure we follow their lead. I mean, even we get on the phone, it's not, sometimes a crisis line call, a person's quiet and all of we're here, we're saying, I'm here. When you're ready to talk, when you know what you want to say, I'm here. We've had people say, well, I don't know what to say. It just happened. I don't know how to feel. I don't know who to talk to. That's what we're here for. I don't know what to, and sometimes when a person don't know what to say, I've sat on the phone with a survivor for 3 or 4 minutes before they said anything. I had one that just screamed. I was like, are you in a safe location? If you're not, hang up and call 911. She was like, I just needed to get that out. And so my biggest concern always is to make sure nobody is ever pushing their agenda of what they want on a survivor or victim blaming, but allowing them to heal, them to define their healing process, and we're there to be their biggest supporters.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so if you have a survivor that decides to go through the process with you guys, and they're going to receive the services that you have available, and one of the services, which is my passion, is counseling or therapy. You have therapists on site that works with them. Do they have a certain amount of time, or do you send them out? How does that work?
We used to have a therapist on site, and COVID and all these payment and salary adjustments, we're still nonprofit. We were very fortunate. We have 2 Spanish-speaking bilingual counselors on contract, and we have 3 other counselors on contract. That allows them to meet someone. If they're not comfortable, they have options. Some of them connect immediately and they stay with that person. We're short-term counseling. We offer 12 sessions. Some of our clients will take it very slow. Some of them will take a few and come back. So it's really just, like I said, it's up to them and them defining that. And once they've reached that, we try to either connect them to Hugs or some of our partners if they need. And sometimes they may come back a year or 2 later and need 1 or 2 sessions or whatever. And if the budget allows, we can make room for that. But we usually give each person at least 12 sessions.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's a great start. I can imagine the most difficult part of your job is probably having to help children.
I think so. The kids are tough. And we also work with the FBI doing like sex trafficking stings. They call us for those as well. And I think one of the most difficult cases, we had about 5 kids, and it was 5 advocates came out to support them. And I think one of the things I love about our jobs, even you can't serve others until you serve yourself. Right. So even making sure that we serve the community well, we have to take care of the staff. And that particular next day, we had a self-care day. We let our answering service answer the phone the next day. We were able to just talk and kind of bring ourselves down because it was a very emotional case. And I think that is in this type of industry, you have to know how to take that cape off and do self-care. You have to make sure that the people that serve are good, because some people are so willing to run to others and they're depleting themselves. Right. So one of the things that's very important to me, has been important to my predecessor as well as the founding ED, was self-care. That is a rhythm that went through the agency from the foundation. The self-care, it wasn't called all that back then, but that really was the anthem. And we've actually built partnership with other partners, sister agencies, where we do self-care as to get days together. We have days where we've gotten even one time, one of the spa gave the staff a spa day.
Okay.
And so we have been very fortunate to make sure that we offer 3 or 4 self-care days. And when it's difficult cases like that, we call it. And we had 10 cases in 1 week. And it was so, and that's the part, we don't ask a client or a volunteer or an employee if they're a survivor of sexual violence. All we ask is that they serve themselves before they serve others, and that this is not a form of therapy. We do not want to traumatize even a worker or a volunteer, and that we ask them to make sure that they know that this is a field for them. And so sometimes people, come in and they're excited and they realize it's not a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of talking, and I tell them everybody's not going to be on the front line. We need the people that help us get the grant. We need the people that do volunteer and pass out tracts. We need the people to pass water to those on the front line. Mm-hmm. So everybody helps in a different way. It's not necessarily meant for them to be on in that very moment with us, with a client, or seeing some of those things. So one of the things I love is that when we care about the staff as well as the community.
I absolutely love that. A saying that I like is that you can't pour from an empty pitcher. And yes. So the fact that you take time for your staff to put back in themselves before they go back and pour out sometimes is absolutely great. It makes me feel that the survivors are going to get services that are effective, and not just services that are obligational because of this position.
Dr. McDaniel, we can't pay like we want to. Of course, nonprofit, we can't compete with mainstream or whatever, but we have a lot of dedicated, compassionate people, and it's the mission. Mm-hmm. And you can see that, and you still don't want to wear even those good people out.
Right.
You want to make sure that you're being just as diligent about the community as you are the one who provide the resource.
Right. Right. Wonderful. After this, I have to talk to you more about Mary's Place, because I just love what you guys are doing. I love what you stand for. I love what your approach to helping survivors. And that just changing that term, because my mind had been stuck on, victims, but you didn't even say anything to me, but it's me hearing you constantly use that term. Okay, I'm hearing that I need to change my language and how I address these people, even going into a counseling session with someone who may be a survivor of sexual. So now I know, use a different term with them, because they are survivors. If they are in front of you and are able to express and talk about their situation, they have survived.
Yes, they did.
They have survived. That is absolutely excellent. What would you say to our audience? Should they come in contact with a survivor, or should they themselves become a survivor in a situation in the future? What would you say to them?
If you come in contact with the survivor or you connected to one, we do provide resources to secondary survivors. The same resources, because we want to build them a big support system. Some of our survivors choose to not tell any family or friends, and we are their only support. But those who bring mothers with them, or spouses or partners with them, we offer them resources as well. Okay. So some of them will choose to talk to a counselor, not the same one that the survivor choose. Mm-hmm. They will talk to a counselor, and they get the opportunity to tell their feelings and how can I support that person. So that counselor is able to kind of give them ideas or tools they can use to help the survivor and be a better support. We had a client, a secondary survivor, called, and he was like, she always get really down around this time of year. And he didn't realize it was the anniversary of the date and of her attack, her assault. And so he was like, okay, that makes sense. And so sometimes just them remembering things like that, or them saying, am I doing it right? You're not doing anything wrong. There's no right or wrong. Just support them. Don't victim blame. Don't ask anything, of course, insulting, like what you were wearing. Were you dating that person? Just support them. They'll tell you what they need and what they don't. And sometimes they don't want it. They don't know what they need at that time. Just give them the space and room to make their own decision. We've had family members who are like, she got the report. She got to think about everybody else that person can attack. No, she don't. No, he or she don't. Mm-hmm. They have to do what's best for them. If they choose to report, that's their decision, their journey. And with this technology age, a lot of people, your text messages, you have to be willing to open all of that, because that could be part of evidence or whatever. And they have to make that decision. They have to make a decision to be exposed if it was an intimate partner to all of the previous possible conversations. And so that is their choice, and that is their decision. So one of the things sometimes we have to remind their support or their family, their friends, that you can't force them to do that.
Right.
And that's not what you should be doing. You need to listen to them and let them navigate their healing.
I was going to end this, but I want to ask a question because you said something. Does a person have to be physically sexually assaulted, or can it be something that happened over social media or in some type of...
Any sexual violence? We even deal with stalking clients. So any sexual violence or stalking clients, our funding cover it.
Okay. So people don't feel stuck if it was.
And one of the things, we are also as a resource center. So if our survivors need something that we don't provide, we are connected to the 54 agencies funded by United Way. We have executive meetings. We're always up to date to what services and resources they provide, whether they call 211, whether we give them direct contact information. We're there to support them. So all of the resources that are at our fingertips, through our partner agencies, sister agencies, we're there to guide them through that. There's so many beautiful agencies, nonprofit in Chatham County area, and a lot of people are not aware of the resources. So that's one of the things. United Way makes sure that we have meetings where we keep in contact, updates, and we know who provide what resources, and that allows us to be even a greater resource to our clients.
Oh, wonderful. Let me ask you this. Do y'all have yearly events where people can donate or attend?
Well, we just had our lip sync battle last Friday at Victory North. Was great. I think Georgia Southern team won. And we always have something for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We do Jeans for Justice, where different companies and organizations do a dress down day for Mary's Place for a small donation. And we do our Teal Hill Walk, which is tomorrow night on Tybee at the Memorial Park. And that starts at 6:00. So we always have at least 3 or 4 events. And then we're also at different other partners events with a table and information. We will be at a partners event tomorrow for this month is also Child Abuse Prevention Month. So our partner, Coastal Children Advocacy Center, will be having a symposium tomorrow, on Friday. And so we'll be there at a table, and we got some events throughout the community where people invited us to bring resources and information, like on the 15th, the end of the month. So we got a lot going on throughout the month of sexual assault awareness. And we usually do one more fundraiser at the end of the year. So, but if you keep in contact with us, like us on Facebook, go to our website. We always have our events posted, and QR codes where you can register or you can be a part. We have a volunteer section. We always need volunteers. We need males and females. We need all. Just like I said, we couldn't do it without the support of our community.
Well, wonderful. This has been an excellent conversation to let people know what organizations are in the community that are available. So if you are watching this, or if you know somebody, connect with Mary's Place. Donate, not donuts. Donate, volunteer, become involved, because it sounds to me like they are doing some awesome things. And so we want our survivors to know that they don't just have an organization supporting them, they have a community.
They do.
Them. So let's all get involved. Ms. Williams, thank you so much for having this conversation with me tonight. I so appreciate you. And we're going to keep in contact, and we're going to connect and talk more about Mary's Place.
You are always welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight for another segment of Ready, Set, Talk, where we discuss real issues affecting real people in real life. We'll see you next month with another great topic. Have a great evening.
Issues affecting real people in real life. affected. Real people in real life. Ready, set, talk. Come on and talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. Let's all talk about it. 'Cause we're real people in real life. Ready, set, talk.